We're all friends. We're here to have fun, but our story can include graphic violence, drug use, sexual content, and other mature themes. Content warnings can be found in the show notes. We talk at our table about safety, comfort, and consent, both as players and storytellers. We know what to expect. We're all excited to be here, and we want you to feel the same. So listener discretion is advised.
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies. Space is vast, dark, and not your friend. Gamma rays, neutrino bursts erupt from dying stars to cook you alive. Black holes tear you apart, and the void itself boils your blood and seizes your brain. Try to scream, and no one can hear you. Hold your breath, and you rupture your lungs. Space isn't as empty as you'd think either. Its frontiers are ever expanding. Rival governments wage a cold war of aggression while greedy corporations vie for valuable resources. Colonists reach for the stars and gamble with their lives. Each new world tamed is either feast or famine. And there are things lurking in the shadows of every asteroid. Things strange and different and deadly. Things alien. This is the official Alien tabletop role-playing game, a universe of body horror and corporate brinkmanship, where synthetic people play God while space truckers and marines serve host for newborn ghoulish creatures. It's a harsh and unforgiving universe, and you are nothing if not expendable. Stay alive if you can.
My name is Rebecca, and I'm playing Hendrika Kotze, who is a colonial marine. She has a buzz cut, and the little hair that's visible is ice blonde. She's got icy blue eyes, and this very sort of muscled, athletic build. She's not quite wearing combat fatigues, the sort of thing that you would wear when, well, you're used to that, and that's your format, but you don't technically got the uniform. So you're thinking like a crewneck t-shirt, cargo pants, practical footwear. And when she's moving around, she's got that sort of tactical amble. There's a light chain around her neck, maybe some dog tags. And generally, she's walking around more armed than she needs to be. You can always see a machete, way too long for practical wear, but it seems like it's just part of her habit. And you get the suspicion that there's more knives, more something, always quick to hand.
I'm Rob, and I'm going to be playing Alexander Evans, company agent for the Weyland-Yutani Corporation. Evans wears a gunmetal gray suit, slim cut and well-tailored, but tailored in that way that in the Aliens universe where the lapels are flat, but the collar on the back turns up, like halfway up his neck. He has a crisp white shirt underneath, a pair of burgundy shoes, burgundy belt, and a matching burgundy tie. Often he is wearing a pair of rimless septagonal sunglasses and is almost always carrying a slick chrome briefcase stamped with the Weyland-Yutani corporate logo.
I am Garrett, and I am playing Benicio Quaresma, but he just goes by Benny. In fact, the team he's been hired on with only knows him as Benny. He was a late addition to the team because they needed somebody that could handle machinery and repairs on the ship, along with being able to cut through bulkheads, any kind of number of menial mechanical laborers. Benny is a younger guy, kind of a roguishly handsome, dark bronze skin, black hair cut in kind of like those footballer mullet mohawk kind of cuts, and he's got tattoos running from his hands all the way up to his neck and cheeks. Benny's always got a pair of headphones, big, clunky headphones around his neck. He likes to listen to music while he works. He wears a pair of oily, stained coveralls, usually tied around the waist, revealing a hot pink tank top with a big metal band logo for a band called Warphanage.
I'm Erika, and today I'll be playing Nemo, who is a synthetic science officer. Nemo is built to be exactly 5 foot 8 inches tall, with dirty blonde hair and oddly intense hazel eyes. Her hair is braided and twisted around a pen in her hair to keep it back, because in the science lab you don't really want loose things around your face. She is possessed of eerily perfect posture, and she does tend to have a bit more personality than most synthetics. She generally wears a jumpsuit, and when she's in the lab, she will wear a white coat to keep it generally clean, but when she is out and about, she leaves it in the lab.
I'm Tim, and I'm playing Vernon Deckard. I'm a colonial marshal, no longer with a colony. I am early 40s with dark hair that is going silver, a general, somewhat unkempt, unshaven look, looks always tired, and is watchful, is observant, everything else like that, but otherwise just seems kind of perpetually tired. My job is to be second on this mission. I handle all of the actual operation stuff for Evans. He handles all the high concept things, and my job is to make sure everything here goes smoothly.
I am Lex, the GM or game mother of this one-shot we are playing tonight, and thank you for listening.
What's the story, Mother?
The group of you wake from cryosleep aboard an old Model CM-90S Corvus named the Hiroto, a G-class commercial deep space salvage vessel. It is a reliable design with a steady presence on the frontier. 4 powerful multi-vector engines make hauling scrap that much easier, while an underslung bridge allows the captain a good view of the crew at work. It's equipped with a tow crane, an external elevator, and a rear dorsal lifeboat that can accommodate most of the crew. The first few hours after waking from cryosleep are inevitably terrible. You feel sick and sore, but find comfort in some heated slop that barely passes for food, but is loaded with calories and the greasiest coffee you've had in recent memory. The viewport shields in the galley side open. A swirling whirlpool of pitch black greets you, set against a starry backdrop. The ravenous mass gulps torrents of plasma from 2 unraveling orange globes that were once dwarf stars. This is 26 Draconis, a restricted system that's home to the Ablason black hole. The powerful singularity is consuming both the planets in its path and the system's 2 remaining stars. You've arrived to Erebus, an orbiting Weyland-Yutani plasma trawling platform and recharge station. Comms buzz to life as a hired pilot, an over-the-hill space trucker named Samson addresses the crew and passengers.
All right, everyone. Look alive. We've arrived to Erebus 01. 12 years back, a company probe cataloged this young singularity, reporting its system breakdown and its high energy output. Weyland-Yutani won the exploitation contract from the colonial admin and set up Erebus Station to harness the plasma flow in energy trawlers, a resurrection-class plasma trawling rig and platform. This creepy cruciform station is composed of recycled starship and refinery parts. It's having some outage issues, no lights, which would explain the SOS beacon. The tired old thing has been on its way to decommissioning for almost half its existence, and was even apparently misclassified as such, but must have been serviceable enough to be squeezed for a little more cash. I bet your anti-Weyland-Yutani thieves mistook it for being down and out and tried to lay low here for a time with your prize boss. Whole area's off limits, so we're going to have to make this trip a quick one. The company doesn't take kindly to trespassers.
Evans walks over and pushes a comm button on the wall and just says, "It's okay, Samson. I'll all the clearances, I'm taking care of all that, so you don't have to worry about going too quick. But time is money, so you're probably right. The faster the better. And he depresses the comm and then swirls his cup of coffee and goes and sits back down at the central table in the ship, having already gotten dressed, and you may have seen him pop a pill after getting out of cryo, and he looks a little bit better off than maybe everybody else is coming out of cryo sleep.
Speaking of which, Benny is now fumbling with a little foil package of hydration pills, which are intended to knock off the effects of the hypersleep we've just come out of.
Evan sees him fumbling with the package and sort of tips his coffee to him like, yeah, smart. Gotta take him quick.
Clear instructions as always, boss. I'm sure Samson will know exactly what to do now.
We hired him on your recommendation. You said he was a good pilot, so I'm going to let him do the piloting. I'm not going to micromanage.
Clearly.
Hendrika ambles back in. She's got a hydrate pill, just kind of casually between her lips, and is just waiting to get her hands on another cup of coffee before she sprawls out in one of the chairs and watches people as they make their statements after that announcement.
Nemo never needed to be put into the cryo sleep. She was awake the whole time. And now she simply leans nearby, waiting, watching, sort of nearby Mr. Evans. They are both Weyland-Yutani assets, after all, and waits for further directions.
Evans takes out the sunglasses from his suit jacket pocket, puts them on, and then takes his coffee, leaving his chrome briefcase like on the table, and ambles past Nemo over to the porthole and just stares out for a second at the black hole. And Lex, we can see the station from here?
Yes, so the station itself kind of has like this lowercase t shape to it, and literally looks like this crucifix kind of floating in space, dangerously close to the singularity. And all of the color that you can see comes in the form of two orange dwarfs that are being rended apart with plasma being pulled towards the black hole. The purpose of the station itself is to actually reap plasma, collecting it like a mineral in modern day. Interestingly enough, the station has no lights coming from it, which is kind of eerie.
Ship's a real rust bucket, huh?
Yeah, sorry, we only met a little briefly before, initial interviews, and he turns around and looks at Benny. Benny, right? Benny, was it?
That's me.
Depending on what's going on in there, you think you get the lights back on?
Benny seems very interested in the kind of shitty coffee and rehydrated food that's been put in front of him. He kind of glances up at the eerie-looking crucifix station that you can see backlit by the orange. Yeah, I mean, if the lights are off, it should be a pretty easy way to turn them back on.
Well, if there's not an easy way to turn them back on, without having been there yet, I mean, you came pretty well recommended from Deckard. Do you think you could get them on the hard way? I don't really want to go traipsing around a dark station, and the people there might need some help.
Well, I think the worst case scenario would be that perhaps there is a missing power supply. If we can bring some kind of generator or small power supply, we could hook it up. We could get power in whatever part of the station we need. You don't need this whole place running, do you?
No, not at all. With that answer, Evans looks back at the group, sort of turning his back so he's silhouetted by everything out from the porthole, and looks at everyone else. So then, assuming we have the lights on, this should be pretty simple, just to go in, collect what was taken, and leave.
Ready when you are.
So, one question. What exactly are we doing on this station?
Well, from a certain perspective, it's a rescue mission. There are some anti-corporate terrorists who have kidnapped some Weyland-Yutani personnel. And we are here in the hopes of retrieving those personnel. That's the hope.
Whatever gets me paid.
Anti-corporate terrorists, that sounds dangerous.
Well, that is literally what is going to get you paid, Kotze. Now, hopefully it won't come to that, but if it does...
Oh, don't worry, I know I'm the backup option. But I am the backup option.
I'm sure there's plenty of ways to deal with these people before, actual violence needs to be done.
Exactly.
They can be shown the errors of their ways.
Everyone is open to negotiation.
If there are people on that station, why are the lights all off?
See, that's what I'm worried about.
Could be any number of scientific reasons why the power would go off in a plasma refinery and harvesting facility. Ionic storms, chief among them.
Yeah, listen to the dictionary.
Fascinating. You know the word dictionary.
Some of us learned English manual.
Oh shit, the synthetics actually got a sense of humor. This is funny.
Simulated.
Acquired, actually.
It still burns, apparently.
What? You feeling sunburnt or something?
No, just the fact that she you know what, never mind.
We're all friends here, right? We're all here for the same reasons, so...
Whoa. If you want me to be friends with you, you have to pay me more.
The amount of money that we could all get after successfully completing this mission is enough to pay all of us to have as many friends as we want.
All right. I think everybody knows their jobs. So as soon as they're done getting their shit together here, everybody go gather up your stuff, be ready to go.
The lights aboard the ship flicker. The ship shakes, it trembles. From the black hole that the group of you have this clear sight of, you can feel and see this almost pulse that comes from it. There's the sound of alarms. Over comms, the pilot speaks up.
Hey, we've got some trouble.
And before he can really explain very much about that, this gravitational pull yanks meteors into the station and your vessel. The ship, the world around it, you can see the station, you can see the dwarf stars begin to spin in a loop around and around the ship as you realize, even though the gravity seems to be working aboard the vessel, it is spinning.
Benny immediately, after bracing himself so he's not just sent sprawling, leaps up and starts heading towards where his gear is stowed. He's going to start suiting up into his compression suit so that way he can actually get to where they may have been struck if any repairs need to be made.
Nemo will... She'd been leaning on a wall, and she will brace herself against the wall and reach out and grab Evans by, like, his collar to ensure that he doesn't fall somewhere. And she will immediately begin observing to ascertain the best way to fix the problem, like how to get the ship to stop spinning.
Evans slams a fist back on the comm link, futilely, just going, Samson, what happened? Status.
Samson is completely unresponsive. Normally, it would be the pilot that would right the ship. But for some reason, he is not, whether comms aren't working right or he's not conscious or what have you, there's no response coming from him.
In that case, Nemo will start making her way towards the cockpit once she has assured that Mr. Evans is leaning or gripping something.
Hendrika's first priority is to chug the rest of the coffee before it spills. And then she says, see, the shit show's getting started early. And she goes kind of off to her quarters, like she's making sure she's geared up. She comes back quickly, though.
Deckard follows Benny, essentially, by heading towards where the compression suits are and put that on, since any kind of space emergency, you probably want to put on your spacesuit.
So, Nemo arrives to the cockpit. Samson seems to have banged his head on the console and is completely knocked out. He's got a hand on the controls, and it seems to just be spinning.
Nemo will move him from the pilot seat and sit in his place and take control.
The ship is rapidly approaching the station. At this point, you can make a piloting roll to determine where on the station the ship connects.
Where would be the ideal place?
Why don't you give me a roll first? There are 12 skills in total. The skills are connected to individual attributes. What you're going to do is you're going to roll a number of d6s equal to those attributes. And you are essentially just fishing for sixes. Every six you get is a success.
Okay.
In the event a character is suffering from stress, that is something that we'll cover as it comes up.
Okay.
Right now, you're going to take your agility and your piloting, and you're going to roll a total of d6s equal to that number, and you're going to shoot for any sixes. If you get even 1 6, you have succeeded on the roll.
Because Nemo is a synthetic, she has 6 in agility, and she has 1 in piloting, so she will be rolling 7 dice on this.
Very nice. Human maximum is 5, so having a 6.
Impressive.
Right.
Insane.
I have 2 6s.
With 2 6s, you will succeed on the piloting roll. What this does is it allows you to make a very quick choice as to which part of the station you connect with. Now, generally speaking, there is no part of a station you want to hit.
Correct.
So we're kind of picking what are the best options out of a shit sandwich. First is supplies and quarters. Second
is portside cell block, and the last one is trawling arm 1. The ship has a pair of trawling arms, which is what it uses to reap plasma from the dwarves that are being rended apart by the black hole.
I'm going to aim away from places where people might be, because that's also part of my directive as a synthetic, is to not harm people. So I am going to aim for the trawling arm.
Okay. You will crash there. However, the crash is such that, because you succeeded on the roll, the cast is not going to be suffering any levels of damage. Everyone's thrown off their feet and sent reeling, and the ship crashes, and it is this loud, horrible crunching noise. But everyone's okay. The ship is wedged in the now twisted plasma collector maw of 01. After the immensely loud crash, there is silence as one at a time the group of you start finding your way to your feet and begin to react to what just happened.
When Hendrika got hit, she probably had gotten into her pressure suit, probably had grabbed up her pulse rifle, gotten armed and ready, and then it's like a slab of muscle hitting a wall, very literally, because she just smacks into the nearest wall and falls into curses that you hear down the hallway. When she falls, seems like a practice reflex. One of her fists closes around something, maybe hanging around that chain on her neck, to protect it. Like she really would not want it damaged.
Nemo, after settling the spaceship and ensuring that it's stopped moving, she will look to Samson, and if she thinks she can do it safely, she will take him under his armpits and drag him out to the common area where everyone was in order to ensure that he receives medical care. And then she will, with urgency but not panicked, make her way to her quarters and gather up her tools, her medical kit, her diagnostic device, her armor. If this is an indication as to how the journey is going to go, she wants to go prepared.
Being that we had the shutters open and could probably see the rapid approach of the station, I think Benny, being kind of an experienced spacer, hooked on like kind of a short cable to keep himself locked onto like a nearby bulkhead so that he didn't go flying in the collision.
Evans just slammed into the wall when things were going really bad during the crash. He looks absolutely shaken up. But before checking on anyone else or even checking himself for injury, his eyes flash across the room to find his briefcase. He hurries over, grabs it up in his hands, and then checks himself for blood, and then seeing nothing else, yells out to Deckard. Is everyone alive? What?
We're checking on that. Is this mission still a go?
Yes.
Of course it is. Deckard hits a nearby compound. Everyone gather up and get towards the common area again. We're going to sortie from there.
Do we have any kind of status report on the integrity of the ship?
I'll look into it. Give me a second. Evans will go over to one of the display computers and start pulling up diagnostics.
Go ahead and give me a roll.
So here's the question, Lex, before I roll anything, because unlike the synthetic, I can take stress. Did we take stress from being in a spaceship crash?
Yes, everyone's going to gain 1 point of stress.
All right, so I have a wits 5, I have a Comtech skill of 3, and I have 1 stress. So I'll be rolling 9 dice.
So you get to add the stress you gain?
Yes, but bad stuff happens if you roll a 1 on the stress die.
If the stress die comes up as a 6, is that a success?
Yes.
Oh.
When you start getting extra stress, you start performing way better. But when any of those dice come up as 1s, you have panic results.
Oh.
So synths out the board get way higher stats. Humans can technically get higher dice pools. There's just a real big downside to it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And that's not all. There's a push mechanic, right, too?
Yes, you can gain stress to push and re-roll all your failed dice. But since synthetics can't gain stress, they can't push.
We just do it right the first time.
Yeah, it's why you have way higher stats than everyone else. I got no 6s.
Okay. You take some time and review, but it looks like all the information is still being calculated, so you're not getting any useful information just yet.
I don't know. Something must have gotten lodged or dislodged in the ship's computers. It's taking way too long to give me a diagnostic.
There's that military sense of intensity as Hendrika stomps back in. Hearing that, she stands really at the ready for everything to start getting worse.
Nemo will come back with her gear and her med kit. Has anyone looked to Samson?
I'm not a doctor.
Very good. And she will attempt to provide medical aid to Samson.
Without any mechanical things to work on, Benny will try to give her a hand. He's actually not bad with first aid. He wouldn't say that he's a professional, but he can help out.
And then my medical kit gives me 2. And then I get 1 from Benny. I got 1 success.
With 1 success, you very quickly figure out that he is quite concussed and is basically rendered unconscious because of it. With some time and the opportunity to maybe rest, he should eventually come to.
Nemo will look to Benny and give a nod. Thank you for your assistance. Would you mind carrying him to one of the cryo sleep beds? Don't turn it on, just let him rest there.
I got it.
Thank you.
Benny will hoist up Samson and move him to a secure spot where any further movement of the ship is not going to hurt him.
Like strap him down?
Yeah, so basically strap him into a pod. Just don't, like she said, don't turn it on.
And she'll return.
Any idea where we're going on here?
Well, I don't know the station very well, so I was hoping we could find that out once we get on.
Okay, so you don't have any locator on any of the stuff that you're trying to locate.
Company's not going to be so happy about the assets ruined on that ship.
Well, as far as the ship getting wrecked, if we fix it, they don't have to know. But beyond that, the payoff for retrieving these individuals far outweighs any costs of what's happening here. To answer your question, Deckard, actually, the individuals who were taken were, I believe, kept in cryopods, which would have trackers, and I have corporate level data upload. So long as I can get onto the station, I should have access and clearance to find them.
Are we recovering the whole cryopods?
Yes.
Well, that's news.
Well, is this station protected by any kind of security encryption?
I'm sure there's some sort of security, but like I said, it's a Weyland-Yutani facility, and I have Weyland-Yutani access.
Well, we could just have our ship handshake the station, and we should be able to get schematics and downloads of where we're at.
In theory, yes, but like I said, I think something got knocked loose in the crash because it's taking...
Mr. Evans, would you like me to try?
If you can make the computer talk faster than it's currently talking, then that would be very helpful.
The ship may also be concussed, and I will attempt to make the ComTech roll.
Go ahead and give me a roll.
All right, this is going to be a big roll because my wits is an 8.
On the 5 scale, right?
Yes. And I got 2 6s. So
Okay.
Nemo tinkers with it a bit. And
What information are you looking for?
what information did they need? The location of the pods that they're looking for specifically.
I was just kind of figuring that if we could just have our ship handshake the station, we could download just like at least a map of what we're looking at so we can figure out where we are and how we can get into the station.
Okay, so map of the station, ability to get into the station, clearest path to get to the assets that we're here to retrieve.
And maybe the integrity of our ship, if you can find that out.
And,
That was what I was looking for.
and integrity of the ship.
You may ask me 1 question for each success.
Okay. Which ones are most important?
Integrity of the ship.
Okay.
And the map of the station.
All right. Integrity of the ship, map of the station.
Okay. You can ask questions about the ship, or you can ask questions about the station.
Ship is a later problem.
Or it's a right now problem if it's about to violently decompress. So we can check their computers. We don't have to necessarily do the handshake, because if we can get their computers working when we're in there, we can look for stuff.
All right. So viability of our ship and which systems need to be repaired.
Life support's good. It is not going to decompress. The engines are significantly damaged. It just so happens the station is made of ship parts, essentially.
Okay.
So, in theory, you guys would be able to recover replacement parts and basically jury-rig the ship back into action, but that's going to take some time and some searching.
We're not in danger of explosive decompression or any kind of decompression, but the engines are more or less inoperable. Fortunately, we are sitting on a pile of what we need to repair it with.
Fuck.
So if we're willing to make a couple detours, we can get what we need and we can repair our way out of this.
Benny raises his hand. Permission to go down below and take a look at what we actually need to fix?
Please.
I'll come with you.
All right. You want? He kind of points over at a bunch of tools and gear that he has pulled out from his storage. Grab those and meet me down in the lift.
You got it.
The two of you head down. There's already a lot of smoke. I need a stamina roll from the two of you as you resist some risk of smoke inhalation.
Will a compression suit give me a bonus to this?
A compression suit will negate the need to roll completely.
I'm wearing the pressure suit armor. Am I rolling this?
Nope. Then you guys are both good.
Okay.
It's just smoky down here.
Hendrika's pointing the beam of her flashlight out to give some visibility, but that light is made murky by smoke. She's got the tools under one arm. She's really just muscle and decoration here. She's no expert on machinery, but it seems like she's wanting to get this problem solved quicker than otherwise.
Hey, thanks for the help.
This kind of shit's normal in a job.
Yeah, that's...
This is the worst thing that goes wrong. We'll be lucky.
At least I'm earning my paycheck. How the hell did Evans afford to bring a colonial marine on this, by the way?
You get a dirty fucking look. The kind of look that if someone more sensitive were to get hit with it out of nowhere, it might knock them back a few steps. And she turns her chin up at you, pretty immediately ready for this to be a problem. And she says, I'm operating as a mercenary here, not a marine. Not anymore.
The anger and danger in your pose is completely lost on Benny due to the helmet on his compression suit that's kind of like encasing him, so he just is kind of walking along. Mercenary, huh? Oh.
Well, you guys need muscle.
So not a marine anymore at all?
She takes the hand holding the flashlight and gives you a rough shove to the shoulder.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You see, he immediately is on the defensive and is kind of turned around and suddenly kind of like shocked at like the fact that you are in his face.
You're gonna go ahead and walk that back. You ready to walk that back?
What bet?
All the questions.
Look, I just want to know why the heck we have... You know what? Never mind.
Yeah, ain't it nice to want things?
Well, if you want this ship in working order, let's maybe cut back on the threats of violence a little bit.
Lay off the marine talk, and we can have it just fine.
Look, you're the one wearing dog tags.
Her eyes kind of... Now that you can see her face, right? Her eyes kind of go off to some bad memory. And there's that reflex to go and touch the chain. But almost like the twists of disagreement in her expression. And she doesn't choose to say exactly why what you said doesn't sound quite right. But she takes a step back and kind of stretches out her posture, that kind of neck crick that says that this isn't a fight right now. Assesses you, adjusts the flashlight, and gives you like a hard nod.
Okay then. Don't worry about the ship. He kind of like slowly and carefully moves himself to the front of the line and just kind of continues on to where they need to go check on things.
Give me a heavy machinery roll.
So that's going to be strength plus heavy machinery?
Yes.
Would my maintenance jack maybe apply here?
Yes, it would.
All right, so my strength is 5, my heavy machinery is 3, and my maintenance jack gives me a +1.
And you have a stress die.
And I have a stress die. I have a success.
There you go.
Okay, with a success, you will definitely note some significant damage to the actual engines. There's whole sections of it that have been kind of blown off by the jarring,
It takes some time to get things back onto it, but due to instances of literal twisted metal, you're going to need replacement parts.
Basically, all I want to do is write up an inventory of
Yep.
the things that we need to salvage.
Yeah, but opening it up and getting a look, you actually can kind of make a list of what parts are too damaged to kind of bend back into shape or reuse. And that's effectively going to serve as your shopping list while you go around the station.
It does strike Kotze that Benny already has a system in place for looking through parts and figuring out what needs to be salvaged. It seems like disassembly and salvage work might be his primary job when not working on illicit company projects.
As he proves his capabilities and is drawing up this list, Kotze kind of just mellows. And when he's finishing up, about ready to walk away, again, he feels her hand on his shoulder, but this time it's more of like a casual punch. Just that light, like, bap. And she says, there you go. Good for something.
He kind of turns to look at her, and you hear kind of the click of the radio, because with the compression suits, I imagine it's pretty hard to hear us. Mm-hmm. And when his radio clicks on, you can hear this music playing in his helmet. What was that?
Nah. Next time.
Kind of nods along and goes back to his work.
While they're gone, Deckard looks over at Evans and Nemo. She's still around.
She is.
How much is time a real problem on this one?
Sooner's always better than later.
No boardroom talk. I need this straight.
I don't know until we get on there, but faster is better than slower.
So we should split. You take Kotze. I take Benny to go find the parts. You go take Kotze and secure the packages. We can meet up and make sure we get everything. Take Nemo with you also.
Yeah, Nemo, I need you to, at least with me, to check the viability of the package.
I know why you need me.
Perfect. So, yeah, probably a good idea.
Once we get that inventory of parts, we can move off and figure it out.
Do you have trackers? Or do you have transponders? Not trackers.
I can.
Just in case we get lost. It's a dark station.
Yeah, well, it's not always been appropriate for me to be wearing one.
Well, it might be today.
I'll see what I can find.
I have one on. If not, I guess, see if Samson has one. You can take his.
Look, I've got a radio. We'll get hooked in. We'll use internal comms.
Great.
You've got Nemo. I've got Benny. We should be able to solve our way through most of these problems.
As long as we keep in contact, the faster we do this, the better.
Roger that. We'll get it done.
Nemo watches their interaction with utter fascination.
As the three of you get to waiting, Samson starts to kind of come to the groggy expression. Hey, sorry guys, I think we crashed.
That was more my fault than yours. Oh. You were concussed at the time.
Do better next time. He kind of jokes, clearly thinking it was probably his fault. He gets out of the pod and stretches. I need some coffee, and stumbles around looking for any solution for the newfound headache
You should
that
sit.
he can find.
You should not be walking around.
Deckard immediately goes over and tries to... Hold on, Sam. You got hit pretty hard there. You need to be taking a seat. You got to rest up.
Nemo will make him
All
some
right.
coffee.
He kind of nods, and he will actually comply with the orders that are given. I'll stay here. Let me know if you guys need anything from the ship.
Yeah, that wasn't really an option. You weren't going anywhere. But
Yeah.
I appreciate the volunteering.
Evans looks over at Nemo. Painkillers help him, or that hurt a concussion? I don't know. I'm not a medical person.
Narcotics wouldn't be advisable in the face of a concussion, as it could alter the mental state, and that would be difficult to determine whether it's an advancement of the concussion or an effect of the narcotics.
I'm going to be honest, narcotics are a little advisable, but whatever the doctor says.
Anti-inflammatories, however, would be helpful, and cold compresses.
There's a flick of Evans' eyes over to his briefcase, and then he looks back at Nemo and goes, well, I don't have any anti-inflammatories, so.
In a standard med kit, would there be some anti-inflammatories?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Nemo will dig those out and shake out a cold compress and activate it and hand it to him.
He holds it to his forehead.
She'll hand
Kinda
him
slumps.
She'll hand him a cup of coffee. Do you take milk? I don't make it.
I was not going to ask you that, ma'am.
You'd be surprised what people are willing to ask a synthetic.
Well, some milk would be nice. Thank you.
And she will go over and add some synthetic cream.
Thank you kindly.
Over the comms to Benny and Kotze, Evans' voice comes over and just goes, What's the word? We gotta get moving out soon.
Actuators are in rough shape, but I have a list of all the things we're going to need to fix this.
Great. Come back up to the main room, and then we're gonna go.
The actuators are the thing that makes the engine move.
I don't need to know that. I hired him to know that.
Coming up now.
Nemo just kind of gives a sly look like she enjoys being smarter than humans sometimes for the sake of lightening the mood.
Question, Lex. Is there a way that we can reduce stress we've incurred?
So I actually have a question for Lex later. I wasn't going to bring it up now, but one of my talents is banter, which means that when we spend time in a safe place, I am able to reduce stress. The reason I wasn't going to bring it up now is I haven't been particularly bantery, but that is on the table.
Whenever you decide to use it, it will come into effect so long as you guys are not in a dangerous sequence. It's basically like a short rest type vibe.
Me and Evans is a possibility because we haven't been doing anything.
Nope, you guys have been sitting around chatting, so you guys are able to reduce stress. Samson sits in the cockpit, sort of relaxing in his fancy chair. He flips some switches, presses some buttons. Well, the beacon on your package there, boss. We picked it up.
Where is it?
You're looking for Deck D.
Okay.
Reception and Sciences.
Got it.
Yeah, it just seems like an odd place.
Evans does not seem as confused by that as Samson seems to be.
I'll actually share this with you. Nemo. So they're not all exactly the same, but most stations like this have very similar schematic. Before we came out, I did a little research, and I can go ahead and share what I've got with you if you'd like that.
Please. Thank you, Mr. Sampson.
No, thank you. Coffee, headache, compress, I owe you.
You owe me nothing. Please fly us home better than I flew us in.
All right, well, I'll be relaxing here. You guys have fun.
Life support systems should hold you for now.
That's the way I like it.
Does the umbilical have any anywhere it can access where we landed? He kind of gives air quotes around that we can access the station with? Or are we going to have to cut a hole?
There are points pretty much on every deck where you can connect. Problem is that there's an outage. So you're going to need to cut an access point once the umbilical connects to where it should be. I don't have the tools for that, boss.
I do. I got this.
Ooh,
Good man.
fancy man. All right, so extending umbilical, and you guys should be making entry in just a moment.
How are we going about this?
Kotze, you're going with Evans. You're going to go secure the package.
Got it.
Me and Benny are going to go scavenge up the supplies we need.
Well, we need to figure out how to get power onto the station first. Otherwise, we're going to be cutting through every goddamn door we get to.
Yeah, we'll make sure to figure that out as soon as we get onto the station itself.
Maybe if I can make a recommendation, we bring a outside power source so that we can get the so we can get Nemo to somewhat a console on the station and try to at least talk to get an assessment of what's going on.
Evans looks at Samson. Do we have a portable generator of any sort? Or is this flashlights and Troggin?
We have a generator that can be essentially taken from this ship, but we'll be running low for a while here. In the meantime, where you're going to make entry to the station, it's a chute that basically runs through the whole station itself. It's got various points through which I can access the various decks. However, it's got no gravity. That's how they move things from one point to another quickly aboard the station. So you're essentially going to be free-floating through the chute, carrying a generator with you. If it banks too hard against anything, that's just a new problem. So be careful.
Is that going to be an issue for the shopping list?
If we damage it, absolutely. But, I mean, how do you want to tackle this? We need power. We can try to just get in and get to the engine room or try to power it up manually.
I find it difficult to believe a station of this size wouldn't have a backup power source somewhere that we couldn't just access and reroute or repair.
My only worry is that if we're just kind of poking around in a dark station without knowing what the actual issue is, that could take a long time to get things back on power.
Or more than that, could be overrun.
Overrun with what?
Something happened to cause the station to be lights out in the first place, yeah?
Which
Whether
could've-
that's space bugs, whether that's...
Well,
some
judging by
larger problem.
Evans and the fact that we've crashed into the station, if there were actually dangerous people on board, it would already be a problem. And you don't seem to be too worried about the time frame here.
No.
I'd rather do
no,
it faster
no.
than slower. But space bugs are a colony problem. They're not a space station problem.
Well, I was talking about the supposed anti-corporate terrorists you mentioned, but
I am a little concerned about that, but that's why Kotze's coming with me.
There's always problems. Sure, space bugs, that's known on planets, colonies. I'm telling you, there's more.
Me and Benny will head for
Doubtful.
the power plant or engineering or wherever that they keep that supply and get that going. We'll probably find a lot of the stuff we're looking for in that area too anyways.
And if there is a big issue, if there is some sort of, unknown, then what's what you got that pulse rifle for? Right?
Kotze just lifts up the pulse rifle, kisses the side of it, and says, "Oh, I got several answers to that kind of problem."
Well, hopefully we don't have to run into any of them. Benny, I appreciate your suggestions, but I have to admit I'm a little loath to take any power away from a ship that's already damaged.
We'll make do.
all right, we'll try to find the generators on board the ship and see what we can do.
Actually, Samson, you said you kind of know these station layouts, at least a little bit. You did a little bit of research.
Yeah, I know a thing or two.
External doors and things we need to cut through, but internals, are they on sort of a magnet system? I mean, we're going to be able to just open these doors.
I mean, a lot of it is going to be manual. Some of it's really old stuff. So you're essentially just fucking turning it like a doorknob. But if you can get the reactor going, it should restore most power. Now, emergency lights should be active inside. There's probably going to be, hopefully there's life support running. So you'll have some basics going. Automatic doors, etc. You're going to need to get the reactor rods in place and fixed. If there's a power outage, it's there.
All right, well, you heard the man.
If there's no breach, then there shouldn't be, bulkhead doors or anything closed across the station anyways.
There you go.
All right, I'll start getting all my gear together.
If you're headed there, you're going to be looking for the factory complex. That's Deck H.
So,
package is on Deck D.
Kotze, Nemo, and I will go and secure the package, and best as we can, the two of you go and make sure we have a way out of here.
Will do.
And we all get paid.
Ain't that always the point?
No.
For people who bleed red.
Interesting.
Great, love this energy.
Well, Evans, you don't pay us for the energy.
Certainly don't. And Evans goes over to his locker and pulls out basically the same kind of like combat armor that Kotze would have had in the Marines, but it's clean and clearly never used, and starts putting on body armor over his suit before going to get into a compression suit.
Hey, there's not a bonus for any additional danger. This already seems like it's...
the payday's already pretty high.
Could always use a little more.
Tell you what, when I get out of here and we all get home, drinks are on me, and I mean that in a very, the drinks I buy are expensive kind of way.
Like to hear it.
Nemo lets them talk, and she straps on her own armor, which includes a helmet that seems to particularly protect her eyes.
With the de-escalation, I would like to ask if my banter talent applies. So I think that means that those who haven't removed stress, because we've had some time in a safe place, because the vibe's not been toxic, we're able to get rid of that stress.
When Benny goes off to assemble his gear, he takes all of his tools, his maintenance jack, his bolt gun, the cutter, all of the stuff that he needs, and he also slips in his shitty 9mm pistol that he has stowed away in a little box, and he puts that into his tool bag.
The umbilical is connected. The access point is going to need to be cut. Go ahead and give me a roll to open the door.
Is he cutting a hole in the side of the...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or at least cutting the bolts on a door so we can open the door.
Right.
Strength 5, heavy machinery 3, +2 from a cutting torch. 1 success.
You cut your way in. And it is pitch black inside. Whatever hazard lights might be on elsewhere, none of it is working here. A flashlight gets shined down this long, long path, and sort of floating and bumping into various walls of this chute is debris. Just chunks of machinery, slabs of metal, sheet metal. It all sort of bangs and clunks, and it does so quickly.
Well, Evans, we're in, but you're not going to like this chute. It's full of all kinds of shit just clanking around. Whatever happened on this station was not good.
We sure that's not our debris?
So what do we do about it then?
Navigate around it.
Nemo will turn on her 314 motion trackers so that she can kind of have a semblance of what's moving ahead of them. Hands on shoulders, follow behind me. I can guide us around if you like.
He nods to Nemo, but Evans seems to specifically be looking at Kotze and Benny for, like, to take the lead almost on the here's how we survive a debris, he's looking at the two of you.
For clarification, this is a zero gravity area that we would be navigating through?
This chute is a 0G area.
But it's the normal way they traverse this place. So it's probably got a bunch of handholds or normally...
Tons of ladders,
right.
Specifically.
A lot of times it's like a handle that moves across the walls, typically, that pulls you through these types of things. So it's meant to be traversed. It just has shit in it.
Which is why I'm looking at the battlefield expert and the space station fix guy.
Any way we can jury rig some kind of, blanket or net to maybe kind of catch some of this debris as we're moving through?
It's 0G. We just push it out of the way.
Yeah, but...
And I'm gonna keep my hands free anyway in case of problems. I got a flashlight. Keep it pointed on you.
I just feel
Shouldn't lose track.
I feel like all this junk floating around is just going to be problems for later. We got to move cryo beds through this.
All right. Well, you got an idea? Cargo net, something like that.
I don't suppose you can temporarily turn on gravity in here and flush the system.
Well, that means we got to get down to engineering. We got to turn on the power, and then we've got to figure out if anything's wrong with the gravity.
I think it's our best bet to figure out getting the power and getting to the target before we try to clear out the junk in the elevator room.
You're the boss.
Yeah, from top to bottom, this station is 1 kilometer. So this chute is a kilometer long.
And about how wide is it? Like 20 feet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's huge.
Then what's the order?
Deckard?
Me and Bennett will do what we said we were going to the factory level. You guys go to level D. We'll keep comms as up to date as we can, and we'll activate systems as we can.
For now, me and the synth will take the lead. I'll take the lead with the flashlight. It'll look around.
I'll follow the human female, I suppose.
I'll go next then. Evans is a sociable guy, does not know what to do with this energy, and so instead...
Nemo is just grinning in the corner of her mouth.
Hendrika just does not seem to care when Nemo talks. She just doesn't... It's like there's a TV on in the background. She looks at Evans when she speaks.
Absolutely.
There's no energy there's really another person there.
You said Deck H, Samson?
That's right, Deck H. Boss shattered to D.
No time like the present, I suppose.
The group of you are going to traverse down this chute. It's actually the 3 who are going to arrive first. H is much further down the path. So, with flashlights as a source of light, everyone slowly descends, avoiding floating debris, sometimes parts that are flying much faster and sort of bouncing around the walls, and then other parts.
For all of her complaining, Hendrika will actually go out of her way to protect people from that.
Understood. Evans's team arrives to Deck D. The entranceway to this space is normally locked, but with a little bit of help, you guys are able to get it open and get inside. Now, inside, the group of you are able to walk around on this deck. There is gravity here. It is, again, pitch black. There is a mess everywhere. Furniture is piled up in unusual ways, pressed against entryways as though barricades were being quickly erected.
There's paper all over the floor. Lights are torn up. Computers are ripped apart. This place is trashed. Unusually, it's totally quiet. No one's here.
All right, keep it quiet when you're moving. Flashlights, point at the ground. Something bad went down here.
Evans is looking around with concern and goes, let's get to the labs.
Nemo gives a nod, but can't stop looking around, almost with a forensic detective sort of eye, trying to figure out what did happen here. Something bad, yes, but what?
Why don't you give me a roll?
All right, would my talent of analyze come in here?
No, not yet.
And this is observation?
Yes.
How many dice do you have for this roll?
11.
Just nonsense numbers.
2 successes.
With 2 successes, you will notice 2 things. 1, there are instances of blood splatter, but you don't find any people. In addition to that, you find bullet casings that are lying around. And it looks like here there had been some sort of a fight, but there's no people. Dead, alive, none of it. Totally gone. And then you sense a draft. And you look around and you nearly miss it. You nearly fall down into the level below you as some sort of corrosion has taken place in the floor. You nearly step into it, but there is a hole. Some sort of corrosion has taken place that has wiped away about a meter wide hole into the ground. And when you look through it, you can actually see the floor below. And there is a smaller hole there. And below that, another hole and another. And it just seems that whatever corrosion happened here melted through multiple floors of steel.
Huh.
Now you may analyze it.
I can ask 2 questions since I rolled 2 successes from this list. I would like to know, how old is it?
The corrosion has been here for about a month.
What about the bloodstains?
Same.
So the question, is it human or alien? I would like to see if I can rephrase a little bit, because humans obviously don't produce acid, but a lot of things that naturally occur do.
Well, human can also be man-made.
Right. So I guess I'll ask, is it human or alien?
The source of this corrosion is alien. There is this viscous liquid that surrounds the borders of the corrosion. Some fluid ate its way through multiple floors of steel.
Nemo doesn't have stress. Things just are what they are. But she does know this is important for them to know about. Miss Kotze, Mr. Evans, if you could make your way over this way carefully, please do mind the very large hole in the floor.
Hole in the floor minded, Nemo.
Follow my footsteps. I'll go first. As they approach the edge that's been eaten away, Kotze drops to one knee, takes a closer look, examines the acid, and isn't fully convinced for a second before the realization that it's not what she thinks it is sinks in. But, unconscious instinct, she mutters, "No, that's not the same. That's not the same thing."
Not the same thing as what?
Nemo tilts her head curiously as if to repeat the question.
Kotze rises, kind of surreptitiously giving Evans a look like she's checking how much he checks out. Can she really talk to him about this subject? Is he... Yeah, he's been personable. He's offered her drinks. But is he a real one? You know, can he handle this? And as this assessment is going on, she says, "Look, I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen things that You wouldn't believe, and I've certainly seen things that your company doesn't want people to know about.
You'd be surprised what I would believe, Kotze.
You want to prove it?
I've read your file, but I'd like to hear it in your own words.
After the other three break away and head for Deck D, the two of you make your way towards H. Upon arriving, the hatch can be opened manually, and you gain access to another vast, dark space. However, this time, there's gravity.
All right. I have no idea where to go in here, so we're just going to follow these big conduits until we find something to tell us what's next.
All right, let's go this way. Nice work, by the way. Breaking off the two of us from that Babaka company.
Look, you know why you're here. I know why you're here. We need to figure out a way so that we both can get what we want out of this.
And what exactly is it that you want?
I want out. Well, maybe. I want to do damage at least on the way out.
Of the company?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
They've had me under their thumb for too long, and I've done too much, and I'm getting tired of it.
This whole situation doesn't look good, though. If my dad's still here, something fucking went wrong.
Yeah, it's clear that this place isn't what he thought it was. Wasn't what I thought it was.
What did you think it was?
I thought it was abandoned. It was basically decommissioned.
Well, what? Do you know why my dad went here?
Yeah, to lay low. I know your dad. I gave him the information to get here. I'm not sure what has happened, but I'm guessing the company had something going on here that was off books.
You're guessing. You sure you didn't know about what they had going on over here?
Why would I send him to some place that's off books?
Well, you said it. You said you want a way out. You want leverage.
Yeah, he was supposed to be helping me get that. It's part of the reason why I got you on this crew. I need somebody that I can trust, and you need somebody that can trust.
Benny gives you a wary look. Like, obviously, he's not sure that this whole situation makes a lot of sense to him, but he kind of accepts it and kind of keeps on heading down towards where they need to go to fix things.
As the two of you draw near, you find the reactor as expected. It is not functioning. Rods are out of place, and it definitely looks like it can use some work. But you find something unusual about it. Kind of gunked all over it is this wet, stretching biomass that sort of is spread like a black funnel web made by a spider. And maybe there is some truth to the concern that was mentioned previously about bugs.
What the fuck is this?
I don't know. I've never seen anything like this.
Hey, are comms still working?
I checked the comms.
When you switch back on, there is a sort of static interference. You adjust and try as you might. It seems as though communication from this place is not going to be happening.
Yeah, it looks like we can't get any kind of signal through this.
Shit. All right, well, hopefully this crap isn't gunking up anything in the engine. Let me take a look, see if I can fix things here. Maybe you go check to see if you can get a signal somewhere?
I don't know what's going on here, so I'm going to keep an eye on your back while you get this going. We're going to stick together in his, because I need you, you need me, and I don't trust whatever this is.
Are you worried about some big space cockroaches or something?
I'm afraid of Weyland-Yutani space cockroaches with, I don't know, mutations.
Fair enough. All right, let me take a look. Benny will kind of like get in to see if he can move some of the rods back into place and get the generator back to running operation.
Why don't you go ahead and give me a roll for that? Now, as the two of you have found this strange biomass caked all over the reactor, you will gain a stress die.
How often can I use True Grit? It lets me reroll strength checks.
Every time.
Okay.
You just accumulate more stress.
Do I take a stress whenever I reroll it?
Yep.
Okay.
Holy shit.
6 successes. Or, sorry, 4 successes.
Still crazy.
There's 6s, but 4 successes.
It takes some time, but you've got things moving along. And as one of the rods slides into place, there's this thrumming noise as power starts to function through the station. And for a moment, as the lights come on, you can hear the skittering of some sort of movement. Tim?
Yeah.
Give me an observation roll.
Nothing.
Nothing.
I have 8 dice for observation. Screw it.
Did you roll a stress die?
I did. I will take a stress and reroll.
That's what I like to hear.
2 successes and nothing on the stress dice.
With 2 successes, you sort of move around the reactor, this kind of a large structure within the area, and you find that among these like pipes and catwalks and steaming spaces, there's like a hole in the wall. You kind of shine your light to it, and it's dripping with this like slopping mucus, and its edges are corroded, and it sort of opens up into this whole like pipe system that normally crew members wouldn't be accessing. And all over this space is more of that sort of black stretched matter, but there's something different here, and it catches your eye. Sort of planted and the size of like a cooler up on its side are these what look like bulbs of a plant or eggs or what have you. You see 7 in all. 3 of them have already sort of opened at the top and bloomed like flowers. And while you're watching, the rest of them start to open the same. And you sort of take a step back, and sort of skittering along one of the pipes right overhead, you can see this sort of tanned, many-legged creature that has what is shaped very much like a pair of lungs on its backside. And this creature sort of prowls around looking for you.
Benny, there's something here. Head on a swivel. There's mutant bugs.
Now, are you trying to say that quietly to warn him? And are we going into stealth mode? Or are you making the call and pulling a gun?
If it is clear that it is looking for me but hasn't found me, I will attempt to do it quietly.
Okay, Penny, you are alerted, but otherwise it's very quiet down here. There is some lighting, but not very much.
With my heavy machinery roll, do I have the reactor back running?
It is running enough that the doors and everything are going to function. Most of the lights that people would use for like walking hallways, reading, etc., those aren't quite on.
Right.
And it'll take a while for that to cycle up anyways.
There's a power source active, so now we have to just get to a console where we can actually make things function.
Exactly.
Yep. Benny, who was, when he got the call from Deckard, was putting away his gear, is now kind of like looking around trying to spot what he's talking about, and will just grab his pistol out of the bag and kind of just hold that tight.
In stealth mode, enemy movement is handled secretly by the GM. This is carried out each turn after your PCs have moved. NPCs must comply with the same rules of movement as PCs. Human NPCs can only move 2 zones per turn. Non-human characters may move faster or have other special rules. The creatures that are coming out of these eggs are not aware of your presence. They are therefore passive enemies. The ones that are moving around and are looking for you are active. Enemies can be active or passive as dictated by the scenario or the GM. Active enemies
are aware of you and are actively stalking you. Passive enemies are not aware of your presence and can be ambushed by you. In stealth mode, you will automatically detect passive enemies in the same zone or in line of sight. If you make no attempt to move quietly, passive enemies will automatically detect you as well, and then we move to initiative. If you want to sneak past passive enemies undetected or make a sneak attack, you will roll your mobility against their observation. You get a modification based on the distance to the enemy. Active enemies nearby may try to sneak up on you for a sneak attack. If so, the GM informs you that a threat is moving in on you and then rolls mobility for the enemy against your observation. If you fail, the enemy gets a free attack against you. You cannot spot active enemies that choose to remain hidden and don't attack unless you have detected them using a motion tracker first. Okay?
Okay.
Now, how many are looking for you is not terribly clear. However, there's the one that you did see, Tim. For the rest, if the two of you are laying low and planning to creep away, I need you to make mobility rolls.
It sounds like what we're doing.
I think Benny doesn't necessarily see the facehugger that you saw, but sees you kind of like slowly backing up and creeping out. So he will lift up his bag and also start moving towards the exit.
These are contested, unfortunately. I have 1 success.
I have 3 successes.
The two of you lay low. It's at this point that you can see these eggs now. And as the tops of them slowly open like a blooming flower, you see these flesh-toned creatures with long, powerful tails, breathing sacs on their that are sort of hanging just behind their hind legs, with 4 long, clinging crab-like legs. These creatures climb out, rear up on their hind legs, noting that there's something around, and then begin to crawl, moving in different directions behind pipes and into shadows. These things are everywhere. Tim, you peer down a longer hall, down those pipes and catwalks, and you see that there's about a half dozen other eggs sitting undisturbed and unmoving. You guys are able to whisper to each other and coordinate.
Like the engine is now making some noise, so we have a little bit of cover, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I also am guessing that the revelation of a fucking bunch of eggs with weird things coming out of them is worth a stress on our sheets.
That is a point of stress you will each get.
Where are you guys at for stress?
2.
3.
Deckard, what the fuck is this?
I don't know. Something gone wrong. Is there anything you think we can do?
I think we should get the fuck out of here.
Okay, I just mean that these things are going to follow us if they hear us.
They're fucking like spider things, man. They don't know how to fucking operate a door. We'll just close the door behind us and get out of here.
Is it going to be quick?
We can make it quick.
Okay, let's do that.
Give me another roll.
Mobility?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, what a noise.
Will I succeed?
If you rolled any of those facehuggers,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
No, he still succeeds. It depends on the
We need to find out
on the
what
panic
happens
roll.
on the panic roll.
Yep.
Right. So
So what I'm hearing is you rolled some stress dice.
I did.
I didn't. I got 1 success.
Okay, how many panic dice do you have?
I rolled 2 facehuggers. My stress is currently 2.
Okay.
And I add 2 to it. I rolled a 1.
You keep it together. And the two of you make your way back to the hatch. And as you do, you open it. And you manage to keep quiet. And you slip out one at a time. And as Deckard slowly and quietly closes the hatch behind them, something leaps from the shadows inside and attacks him.
So I get to make an observation roll against his mobility. I get a +2 to this roll because I am watchful. 1 success.
Versus his 1 success.
What happens with that?
I think we actually go into regular combat. The way initiative is going to work is everyone gets a card, 1 to 10, and we simply count up from 1 to 10. The facehugger is going on a 7.
I have a 4.
I have an 8.
Tim, it has you on initiative. Garrett, why don't you go ahead and give me an observation roll?
So it's 4 dice.
Or-
2 because I have stress.
I mean, we could do this, or we could switch initiatives.
Oh, can we?
Yep.
It's like
we
you-
can change initiatives at the beginning of a fight.
Well, first let him roll, because he may not be participating yet.
2 6s.
Okay, you spot it, so you will be able to participate in the first round of combat. Do you guys wish to trade cards?
No, if I spot this thing, I'm just gonna fucking pop it with my gun.
Sure.
I'm a wild card. I'm spooked. My pulse is up. Without even thinking about how to like handle this in a calm way, he just fucking opens up with his service pistol and shoots the damn thing.
Okay.
Not even giving it a chance to get on him.
Okay, you're going to roll agility plus ranged combat.
And it looks like my service pistol is a +2 bonus. Does that also count?
Yep, you'll add that to your attack roll.
So with my 2 stress, that's going to be a total of 8 dice. 2 successes to hit.
Upon connecting, for every additional success, you get to choose a stunt effect. The first is you inflict 1 additional point of damage, which you can pick multiple times. Next is you pin down your enemy. PCs need to make an immediate panic roll. NPCs instead miss their next slow action. Next is you position yourself and get to exchange your initiative score with your enemy, taking effect next round. Next one is your target drops a weapon or another handheld object. And finally, your opponent falls to the ground or is pushed back. For an example, they can be pushed through an airlock.
I think we probably either want pushed back or pinned down.
Yeah, is the door still closing?
You'd be closing it on your action.
So if you push it back, maybe.
Yeah, because if I slow it down, it can still move through, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push it back, hopefully giving him enough time to shut the door. And my pistol does a single point of damage.
It is armored. Well,
Okay.
It has an armor rating. What that does is I will roll dice equal to its armor rating, and every success I get will reduce the damage you deal by 1. It sort of creeps into the shadows, concealing itself again. Tim,
Yes.
it's your go. What are you doing?
I am closing this door.
It slams shut. With it closes. It locks, rather.
I have my gun drawn and I am looking around and going, it fucking came right for me.
Are you okay?
Yeah, but it was going for me.
I saw. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'll call Evans on the way, but fuck this package, man. Shit, it's your dad. Fine, we'll go find him.
We're going to get my father. We're going to get the fuck out of here now.
Back when I was a colonial marine before the dishonorable discharge, my squad and I, we were in the jungles of Tarnat 12, deployed to quell an uprising. It was the hottest summer on record, the hottest I think that had ever been for a cycle. I remember the sweat coating everything, and I remember the blood coating everything after the squad was hunted down one by one by one. I would always find them skinned, some body part taken. At first I didn't really understand, was it just part of the mauling, but it started to seem like they were being taken like some kind of sick trophy. Like we were entertainment. I don't know why I made it out. I think it was just being smart. Being selfish. Getting the fuck out of there. And they tried to just cover it all up. Make it seem like I was crazy. Make it seem like something else went down and I came up with a cope to handle it. But I know what fucking happened. I remember that green blood. And I remember the feeling that hung around. The locals tried to fucking explain it. I didn't really know what they meant before it all happened. That jungle just took people. That people were going to disappear. But I know it now. And this place takes people too. If I have to be the one to warn you, what are they gonna do? Make me look more crazy?
Through the visor, Evans's face is a little... It's not quite skeptical. It's It's clear he thinks that she believes everything she's saying. And it's not like he thinks she's lying. It's not even that he necessarily thinks that she's wrong. But there's something about what she's saying that doesn't seem to add up to him in a way that's a little off-putting.
If you just want to trust my instincts as a soldier, this place is wrong. This place is damned, and we need to get the fuck out of here before we're damned with it.
A most astute observation.
A voice speaks up over comms. All around you, lights around the lab start to kind of turn on as one set of the auxiliary power generator seems to rumble to life. Whatever the other team is doing, maybe they've had some success.
She whips around, pointing her gun at one of the intercoms, not realizing where the source was coming from at first, but then trying to find a place to aim.
You have arrived during a complicated scenario that the station is undergoing. May I ask for your identification?
Evan steps forward immediately and just with his briefcase in his hand, sort of rummages. It's in my pocket, but my name is Alexander Evans. I am with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. May I please have your employee identification number?
Evans rattles off his employee identification number.
Processing. Oh, how very interesting that you have joined us. Your co-workers, they have unfortunately been terminated.
Yes.
About a month ago, the evidence would suggest.
That would be correct. It would seem that their use to the company lives on aboard this very station. What brings you here, Mr. Evans?
It's pretty apparent that Kotze wants to, get mad and ask questions and get threatening, kind of similarly to her attitude previously. But in this situation, she is looking over at Evans, kind of keeping those reactions as much as she can to herself and knowing that the company man has expertise here.
He looks around. Lex, would this be the ship, or would this be the station's voice in my experience, or is there a synthetic somewhere talking to us?
Based on your experience, you can actually recognize the model of the voice. So this is very likely to be a synthetic. Very, expensive, high-quality synthetic.
Specimen retrieval.
I have unfortunate news for you, Mr. Evans. It would seem that after the gestation period, the specimen that was sealed in cryosleep died.
All I need is a genetic sample. That's enough.
Then you are in luck. The specimens that were kept within cryosleep, sealed in their pods, the unusual makeup of what resided within them was detected. I actually took the liberty of removing them from cryosleep so that the metamorphosis could continue.
Why would you do that? There is, for the first time, an edge of panicky hysteria in Evans's voice.
My responsibility to the company changed, Mr. Evans. You see, this station was very far out of the way, and most do not even know of its existence. But the 99 laborers proved to be invaluable. Because this location is isolated, we had the unique opportunity to see the specimens and watch them change. We have learned so much already, Mr. Evans. But what I don't understand is if I have received the instructions to set these creatures free. As I studied this perfect organism, the experimentation was meant to happen in total isolation. Do you have clearance to be here?
Of course I do.
Processing.
If you would notice, he'd trying to interrupt the processing. If you would notice, this station is currently in a decaying orbit, and all the valuable data to the Weyland-Yutani Corporation will be lost. It is my job to retrieve that data and assemble and get it out of here and bring it back to A place where it won't be lost in the decaying orbit of a black hole. And if you need me to make a roll to straight up lie to this robot, then...
Give me a roll.
So I have a 10-die pool to manipulation. And I have a success.
It would appear that your observation is correct. Impressive that you were able to deduce what Mr. Quaresma has done to this station.
He's still alive?
He was detained but has escaped. I admit, the man is more wily than I expected. However, Mr. Quaresma has disabled the function of the station thrusters. A minor inconvenience in most scenarios. However, because this station resides so close to a singularity, the thrusters on the station are meant to routinely fire in order to ensure our position is safely out of reach of the well. But now that those thrusters are disabled, we are drawing very close to a point of no return where we will be pulled into the event horizon. It is my intention to gather as much information as possible and send it so that the company can recover what has been learned here.
And this Quaresma, he's what, a rogue operative?
He is of little consequence aside from the damage that he has wrought.
What are you called?
I am Dr. Edward Ravenschist.
Dr. Ravenschist, how do you plan on getting your data out?
It was my intention to send a beacon aboard a life pod.
Well, lucky for you, the company has sent us.
We would be happy to take your data.
Well, it is imperative that Mr. Quaresma be killed.
Is it, Dr. Ravenschist?
And that is correct. If he is allowed to continue to threaten these experiments, the entirety of it could be wasted.
What an odd suggestion for you to make as a fellow synthetic.
My prime directive is to ensure the success of the corporation.
And yet it would seem you have violated a number of the ultimate directives of all synthetic kind, which is that no harm should come to humankind, and you removed a number of humans from a safe state in order for them to ultimately meet their demise for the sake of your knowledge.
Your assessment is almost completely correct.
For the sake of Weyland-Yutani's knowledge.
Evans looks over at Nemo and says, that's not the prime directive for all synthetics. And then
yes, there are some that are broken, built wrong.
He doesn't respond to that. For the first time, maybe in a weirdly similar way to how Kotze was synthetic dismissive earlier. Like, I'm not going to argue that point, because why would I argue with my operating system? And he sort of looks back at wherever the voice is coming from the speakers, and bulldogs forward. Doctor, I have data pads with plenty with the intention of taking things here. You can transfer the information that you have to me. That way there will be at least 2 vectors, and we can maximize our odds of this information returning to the company.
That will not be necessary. It is the expectation of the company that no living organisms leave this station.
Kotze goes immediately into... She was already at a ready stance, but she falls into line to protect herself, to protect Evans, and almost by habit, the range does seem to cover for Nemo.
Perhaps an understanding can be reached. Quaresma must die. I am empowered to negotiate on behalf of the company regarding the matter taking place here.
In exchange for?
By my assessment, 2 living organisms leaving this station.
Evans's brain goes into overdrive. It has to be more than 2.
Explain.
Because I've negotiated contracts and subcontracts myself, and 2 living organisms could be interpreted as myself and the bioorganism.
Processing.
Not to mention the rest of the team.
Sure.
Mr. Evans, you are not currently empowered to subcontract on behalf of Weyland-Yutani.
Nemo looks at him and quirks an eyebrow.
There is, even through the suit, an audible hiss between his teeth of like, fuck.
There's like a raised... It doesn't feel like any kind of like disapproval or betrayal, because whatever, money's money. But there is like a, oh, interesting sort of expression.
Kotze, is it?
Sure.
I am empowered to negotiate contracts on behalf of Weyland-Yutani.
My employment with Weyland-Yutani is contingent on...
A package you lost.
and them retrieving.
What's your deal?
I am willing to allow one living organism to leave this station.
I don't like that number.
It was 2 a second ago.
Yes. Yes, it was. Mr. Quaresma must be killed. In exchange, you will be permitted to leave. You must act quickly. I must warn you that the means by which I intend to address Mr. Evans and others can be messy.
So, you're capable of breaking your directive. Or maybe you had another one.
I am not.
No?
No, he's not.
Who's to say you're not lying?
I don't understand.
Are you telling the truth, sir?
I have no reason not to.
And why can't, say, 3 living organisms?
Every organism that leaves this station significantly increases the chances of a specimen going free. Is that not correct, Mr. Evans?
Do you still need me to answer this, Mr. Evans?
We all know the answer to that.
You know what? I'm willing to have this discussion, because admittedly, I don't really like his ass right now, because he paid me for a Weyland-Yutani job. Apparently, this ain't one.
Technically, the contract and verbal agreement between us never mentioned that Weyland-Yutani was the subcontractor.
You can talk technical all you like, boss man, but the amount of money that you gave me was correspondent to a job that was correct on the books.
Yes, and it was half now and half later, so if we get out of here, you'll get half later.
Half just became way lower. I don't know if half is a quarter. I don't know what number you want to tell me to make this right. But we're having an issue here right now.
If you're willing to negotiate, I'm happy to negotiate.
That's your decision right now.
For my safe extraction from this locale with the data.
Your decision right now is if I'm negotiating with you or if I'm negotiating with it.
Now, obviously, I am biased, but if you are looking for representative advice, while my pockets are not as deep as the entirety of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation...
That would be correct.
I believe that you, according to what you have told me and your personnel file, and also the things that are happening right now, and he, looks over at the speaker, let you know the loyalties of said company. Whereas I am a physical individual who can get their ass beat for not fulfilling my end of the bargain.
Miss Kotze, for what it's worth, I don't think you're crazy. There is historical record of intelligent species beyond our comprehension.
Hendrika is absolutely in argue mode, and most of her ire is focused on Evans right now. You interject, and you offer this reassurance or communication or whatever she's meant to take it as. And she kind of turns. You see the gears shifting as to whether or not she's going to take it out on you or not. She narrows her eyes at you. Yeah, I know I'm not crazy. But my employment opportunities don't.
I understand. What I am telling you, she kind of holds up a finger like, Mr. Evans, please let me handle this
for a second. He was clearly taking a breath to start saying things.
What I am saying is my personhood is of some debate, but I am a Weyland-Yutani asset. And my directive is to study humans under duress.
Evans throws his hands up like, what the fuck?
There are things even you are not privy to, Mr. Evans.
Clearly.
And what I can tell you is that as a Weyland-Yutani asset of a more clandestine program, my words do have some weight. And if you are able to work with the Weyland-Yutani Corporation and extract one of its agents successfully, bumbling though the mission may be.
Whose side are you on?
Whose do you want me to be on, Mr. Evans?
Mine.
As I said, you will have my assurance that for whatever my word is worth, and it is worth something to some people, you may have a career at Weyland-Yutani.
Let's put it this way. If I don't take that deal right now to get my ass out of here, you pay me double. She points at Evans, and she points at Nemo, and she says, and you pay me double.
I don't have money.
I get that you don't get money. Your company. You get that done for me.
fine. And he like points at Kotze, like, fine, whatever.
Benny comes rushing through the open, or actually now the operating door. He has a pistol drawn.
A gun is immediately trained on him as well.
Whoa. This was for my own self-defense.
Was Deckard.
Should be right behind me.
Deckard comes in right behind him. He's kind of floating backwards and then putting the gravity in. We need to go.
We need to find a console right now. Benny is like trying to operate a console, but failing to like get it to work fast.
Looking around at the console, you find that this deck is home to a few specific areas for the station itself. There's an astrophysics lab. The visitor docking bay is present. It's actually where you guys would have connected to the station if you didn't crash. There's an EVA suit storage area, a personal airlock, and an engineer's office, which is specifically meant to carry spare parts and has access to a ton of the operations of the facility. Now that there are like lights, you can actually see the signs that are showing what is what in this area. Again, for those of you who are just arriving here, there's a ton of debris everywhere. There's blood splatters everywhere. It looks like there was a fight, but there are no bodies.
Please mind the holes in the floor.
Holy shit. Benny's over at one of the consoles at the like reception center.
Benny, what do you need me to look for?
A schematic of the station. See if there's any locators on anyone in this station. Like people.
I got a success to get a schematic and a locator.
You have one success. You may get one.
The locator, the people.
Who are you trying to locate?
Do you remember in Aliens when they are just looking at like colonist locator beacons?
Yes.
So like basically kind of that. Where are people in this station?
Where have the people been moved?
Yes. Because I want to find my dad, and presumably, you know, he might have some kind of beacon on him. I don't know. But if not, because also it's very likely he might not be wearing a beacon, but it's likely that he's at least hiding out with the rest of the people, you know?
You're looking for deck I, which is the lower tower. So it's towards like the bottom of the station. And towards the bottom of the station, there are dozens of personnel beacons.
Is deck I right below deck H?
It is.
Hey, doctor, you got a better deal? Because right now I got a whole team of people willing to get out.
The doctor's helping me right now.
No. And she points at one of the intercoms.
So she points at a wall.
Yeah, no, it's not a clear gesture at all. She has wits too.
What you guys hear is a loud buzzing sound coming from like the siren. And it just echoes and echoes and echoes as the sound travels through the station. Tim, give me an observation roll.
I have 1 and a panic on the observation roll.
Fitting.
I got a 6 on the panic roll, so everything's good.
I mean, you keep it together?
Yep.
While a group of you are talking, when that siren starts to go off, down below, in that kind of zero gravity chute, you hear a lot of movement. And whatever the hell it is, it's coming closer and closer.
Something's coming up the chute. Some things.
Is there a way to close off this space from the chute?
Yes. Close that door now.
Benny goes rushing over to the door and will attempt to seal off the door.
As you go over, you kind of grab the door to kind of lock it closed. And there, through the like port glass like space that you can kind of peek through, and there are these fast-moving black figures. It's hard to make out how many or what they are, but you see them moving very fast, very adept in zero gravity, and they're moving up the chute towards your position, and they're big.
Is there something heavy that I could drag in front of that door?
Forget the door. There's a fucking hole in the floor. We're not going to be able to be safe in here. Some other room. We got to go.
Sorry, everyone, get a stress die and test for panic.
Okay.
The second it is explained to you, there's actually a hole in the floor. We are not safe. I need everyone to make a check.
Do we include the new stress in the panic roll?
Yes, you do.
Damn it.
Oh, fuck.
I'm an android. I don't have to deal with stress.
Synthetics don't feel stress.
Yep, synthetics don't feel stress.
I have 7, and I am currently frozen for the next round.
Hendrika is too mad and fueled on, like, making money and surviving to let the hole in the floor be the thing that stops her. She does not flinch.
I rolled a 6 on the die and added that 1, so I got a 7. Evans has a nervous tick. He starts just muttering to himself like, they can't do this to me. The company can't do this to me.
Does
like,
that add another
over
one?
and over? That's the one that added on to. So everyone, because I am freaking out, everyone gains the stress.
Benny is fucking rapidly looking back and forth between the shaft and the things crawling up it, and the hole in the floor that obviously would lead to deck E, and we did not seal off E. So he's trying to figure out what the fuck to do, and is just kind of rapidly like dripping sweat as he's looking back and forth these two, and has a nervous twitch. He rolled a 4, but I have 3 stress, so that's 7. So I will gain a stress, and everyone else will gain a stress.
That puts me at a total of 4.
I have a total of 4.
7.
6.
Looking out at the intercom, Kotze says, "Yeah, you're gonna need to sweeten that deal if you want us to kill Quaresma."
Benny's gun snaps back to you. Where the fuck do you know that name from?
No time, not now. No time,
Nemo has
not
a point.
now.
We can talk about this in another room.
And I will grab Deckard because he is frozen, and I will drag him bodily to the next closest sealable room and motion for the rest to follow.
Evans snatches up his briefcase, holds it to his chest, and then like runs after.
Benny takes a second, kind of staring at you with the gun, and then he pulls it back so it's off you, and kind of puts a hand up. In the room, let's go.
She doesn't even seem like she thought you were a threat. She rolls her eyes at you, but is already ready to move. She seemed to think that was a running discussion.
Benny will bolt for the room.
As soon as they're in, Nemo seals the doors behind them, and once they're in the room, she will order Evans, go shut off any further egresses.
Evans runs over to the nearest console and just starts.
Give me a check. Remember your stress dice.
I sure do have a bunch of stress dice. So my Comtech is a 3, my Wits is a 5, and I have 4 stress. 1 success and no panic.
With 1 success, you seal the room.
Only after sealing the room do I look around at what room we have just sealed ourselves into.
In this room is the EVA suit storage. 4 Echo 2 suits are stored here. A large amount of dried blood is splattered across the airlock door. The legs and lower torso of a former station staffer lie sprawled by the airlock, apparently having been cut in half.
I will position my body so as to provide cover for the stressing out humans so they don't have to look direct.
Where did you hear the name Quaresma?
And the next time you point a gun at me, you want to go ahead and straighten your arm before it gives you a bloody nose.
He kind of casually holds the gun up again. I think I can handle this. Now, where did you hear the name Quaresma?
The fucking synth. Not that one. The other one.
Where did you...
What other synth?
Where did you hear the name Charisma?
He kind of like looks over at Evans, and the gun kind of lowers from Kotze. My name is Quaresma. Benicio Quaresma. Joao is my father. And he points the gun at Evans.
Please don't.
Evans looks at Benny after he says his name, looks at the gun that's pointed at him, and then looks over at Deckard. You vouch for this guy?
I did.
Did you know his last name?
I've known it the whole time.
Evans, gun still trained on him, goes and sits down on one of the seats, puts his briefcase in his lap, and just starts, like, rubbing the bridge of his nose.
What the fuck kind of situation did you get us into? Did you get my father into?
Your father got me in this situation.
Seems like he did something to, what? Disable the station? Make it so that we had to come here?
Your father fucked me.
The station trembles.
Hey, Nemo.
Yes, Mr. Evans.
Can you do some quick calculations for me? Based on the decaying orbit of this station, how long do we have until we pass the event horizon?
Should I roll for that?
Yes.
Okay. Observation or survival?
I'm going to say observation.
5 successes.
With 5 successes, you know that in 34 minutes, this station is going to be yanked too close to the black hole and will be torn apart.
We have 34 minutes before we have passed the event horizon and the station is drawn into the singularity.
Evans breathes, looks around. Lex, is there atmosphere in here?
Like, can you breathe?
Can we breathe if we?
Well, yeah.
if I take my helmet off.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Evans just takes his helmet off, reaches up and pulls out a watch, like the watch that's on his wrist, and clicks it for a 33-minute countdown timer by the time he gets there.
And that's not even counting all the stuff that we needed to do to get that ship of ours ready to go.
Fuck.
Can you fix a ship in 33 minutes? If not, we need to find a different way.
Lex, that's a great question. Can I fix the ship? Or how long would it take to fix the ship? And how long would it take to gather the parts to fix the ship?
You are on the right deck to gather the parts. You'll need to get to the engineer's office, which is just across the hall. As far as how long it will take to make the repairs, give me a roll.
While we're sitting here and I see he's taking his helmet off, Benny is going to take his helmet off and fumble through his bag to pull out a injector of nap relief. And he is going to sit there and be like, oh my God, the math. I need to hook up the, as he's kind of running the numbers, he'll inject himself with the nap relief and kind of start to his breathing will slow and he'll start to kind of focus up. Runs a hand through his hair and starts kind of just doing the math. Or actually runs a hand holding a pistol through his hair. Kind of rubbing his temples while he's still holding the gun.
Please don't rub your head with a gun.
Fine, as long as I don't pull the trigger.
So that will take my stress to 0, correct?
Yes.
But what is the downside of the nap relief?
Just don't take it again for a while.
Okay.
Yes.
Baby, 4 6s.
You think that it is certainly not a permanent solution. But what you could do is, with the right parts, you could jury rig a way to get the ship away from the station, avoiding it being pulled into the event horizon. And then it has pods on the rear dorsal that the group of you could use to launch yourselves from there and rely on the beacons to ensure you get picked up by some passerby later on. And that is, at that point, your best chances of survival.
Look, fixing the Hiroto is going to take hours. Minimum. Hours. But we can at least detach. I can jury-rig the remaining power and aft thrusters to at least push us away from the station, at which point we could get into the pods and just take those to a safe distance from the anomaly. Picked up by some kind of passerby.
What's it going to take to get that done? What do we need?
In order to do that, Lex, would I need to go to engineering, the engineer office?
You would.
There's a few things I need from that office across the way.
Can you tell us what they are?
Yeah, I could make a list.
Maybe you should go first in an EVA unit. Me and Kotze here pick up what you need and we get going. At least you get started. It gives us the best amount of time.
There are loud, heavy footfalls outside the room. Is anyone taking a look?
Yeah.
Benny will just sit back away from the door, but the pistol will go up towards the door.
I am actually going to drop to a stealth position before I take a look.
I'm just whipping around with my pulse rifle and taking a look, unfortunately.
I'm continuing to sit on a bench.
Lean up against the door and look through the little port window, and you see something that shakes you to your core. Standing, larger than a human being, with this horrible chrome-toothed grin, is this creature that is in no way human. There are no clear eyes that can be seen. Its flesh is pitch black, thin, and it moves with this perfect economy of motion. And immediately, you know that it is looking for the group of you. And slowly, it stalks along the edges of other rooms to Deck D, looking for you.
But it doesn't currently seem to have seen us?
Not at the moment. But one thing becomes very, very clear. Another 2 enter the space, now 3 of them, looking for you. And it is past them that is the engineering office.
Hendrika drops to a crouch getting out of vision from the window and the door.
It's those fucking things. The things that were in the lift shaft, right?
Get quieter right now, because I don't know what you looked at, but those things, what the fuck are those things?
Black, right?
Well, there's a lot of them, at least 3 and probably more. Cutting off the path to the engine room.
What about the station? Does the station have any escape craft?
The way that synth was talking, yeah, there would be at least one, but I don't know that he'd let us get on there.
He'll have scuttled them.
We sure about that?
He's under orders from the Weyland-Yutani Corporation not to let any organic life forms off the station.
Or he's making that shit up.
He's not.
While we're here, is there like a vent that we can go out through so that we don't have to go out in the hallways with these things?
Conveniently, this room has lots of vents. As you kind of check the vents, I'm gonna need an observation roll.
3 successes.
With 3 successes, you peer into a shaft. And like with the staccato tapping of drumming fingers, something very quickly taps along and hops right past you into the room.
Hey man, we took our helmets off.
It has flesh-toned skin, legs like a crab, 8 of them, 4 on each side, these breathing sacs that look an awful lot like human lungs that rest just under and behind the legs, and a very, very long, powerful tail. And it thumps down onto the ground, rears back its front 2 legs, and I need everyone to check initiative.
Wait, can I just try and stomp on it?
It's the same roll. Basically,
Yeah.
you're going to roll the stomp on it. But if you get an extra success, you can be like, I stomp on it, and then I just leave my foot down on just fucking tail so it's stuck. And, like, that's basically what you would be doing.
Okay. So close. No successes.
And that's initiative 1. We go to 2.
Hendrika is going to draw and then lash out with her machete, hoping to spear this thing through.
Go for it.
We got 1 success and 1 panic.
It's time to roll a d6 and add the total of your stress dice to that number.
10.
Oh no.
I rolled a
You
6.
freeze. You're frozen by fear or stress for 1 round, so your action does not go off. You lose your next slow action. Your stress level and the stress level of all friendly PCs in short range of you increases by 1.
God damn it.
So as she goes to stab this thing through, I like to think that maybe her eyes connect with those things outside and the way that they hulk and tower and skulk, and maybe that's when the fear overtakes her.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
And it sounds like that has a chilling ripple.
4.
Benny just fucking squares up his shoulders, fucking takes his pistol, and just opens fire on the horrible little spider thing on the ground.
No.
And just fucking screams, "Die, puta!"
Roll it.
I tag it with 1 success.
Bang! Its armor does not reduce the damage of your shot. So it makes a slight hissing, squealing noise as a chunk of its body bursts and it goes still on the ground. And for a moment, there is quiet. And that quiet is broken by monstrous sounds coming from the other side of the door. Joining combat on initiatives 3, 9, and 10 are 3 xenomorphs. 5.
Evans had been, like, scooting himself up back away from whatever the fuck this thing was. Lex, the facehugger still has acid blood, right?
Yes.
Okay, fuck. He looks at Nemo and just snaps, "Give me your med kit." And he looks a little manic when he does it, and is using his action to basically open his chrome briefcase and start pulling like papers and files and stuff out. While it's open, you can clearly see there's some cash in there, there's a gun in there, there's some drugs in there, and the papers, as he just fucking scatters them on the bench, are a bunch of like unsigned divorce papers, past due notices, bank statements, and he is pulling them out and looking at Nemo and being like, "Get me medical supplies. We're taking a sample. If Weyland-Yutani's gonna fuck us, then Jingti Long or Chigusa, there's a million corps out there that would pay so well for espionage like this. We are not leaving here empty-handed." And he starts like making gimme with a look in his eye like, "If you don't gimme, I'm gonna grab this fucking thing with my bare hands. I'll deal with the scars." And that's his action.
So he's doing well.
6, 7, 8.
I am going to take my action to put on an EV suit.
Okay. You put on an EV suit. The door is torn right out. 9 rips off the door and enters. The other one, then we go to 10, which enters, and I'm going to randomly determine which one of you it gives its attention to. Not the synthetic. These creatures, their character sheets do not work the same way as a PC. They have an AI system. So I'll be rolling a d6, and that is what happens. The xenomorph opens its outer jaw wide, and the deadly inner jaws lean out, gnashing in anticipation for snapping forwards. It deals 4 points of damage to you. Do you receive any damage from that attack?
I assume it's attacking me.
Yes. Its inner jaws are plunging into your skull right now.
VV suit has 4 armor.
So now you roll 4 dice, and each success you get is going to reduce the amount of damage you take by 1. And then I need to know if any damage goes through.
You can say all damage goes through.
Okay. The jaws smash into your skull, your body writhes, and it instantly causes critical injury number 4, killing the victim in one dreaded blow. You are dead. I need everyone to test for panic.
My total is a 7.
I have a 6. I'm keeping it together.
6, apparently.
So you're keeping it together.
I only rolled a 1.
We do all gain 1 stress from the fact that Evans is twitching uncontrollably.
Oh, you think he's twitching uncontrollably?
Yeah, I need the gloves. Just give me the gloves. We're going to make it out.
1.
I'm just going to creep over and open the door so we can leave.
Okay, you open the door. 2's up.
Are the xenomorphs far enough away that I could reasonably believe that I could toss electro grenades at medium range and stun, assuming that could work, them and not the party?
If you toss them past the xenomorphs, you can make it so it's just like them within the blast radius for it.
Then that's what Hendrika's trying to steel herself to do. Having missed that moment, having missed that chance before, she doesn't have it in her to make a brave declaration before attempting it. So my roll here is going to be an agility of 4, ranged combat 3, and then my 5 stress. All right, so I have no additional stress, but I do have 3 successes.
This is very important because you may not want to put those bonus successes into damage.
Then, yes, I would like to apply my successes to push each of the 2 xenomorphs that are in the room back into the other room and keep the third one for damage.
Are you then moving into the next room?
Absolutely. I'll follow that door that's been opened all day.
I got a plan.
What's that?
I have a plan.
Fucking throw me under the bus. Get in the room.
That depends on if he attacks me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You going after the same
For initiative 3, yes. 6.
Sorry, Garrett.
This is awesome.
It unleashes an all-out attack. It has 1 success.
So, Lex, I've got an ability.
Yep.
From being a company agent, because I am so important to keep alive, I'm concerned with my personal safety. So I would like to make a manipulation roll to make sure this consequence of this thing hitting me goes on someone else.
Roll it.
Of course, this is a roll and I got a lot of stress, so this could go bad. So I have my manipulation roll is 10 dice, and I currently have 5 stress. This is a static roll, not a contested manipulation roll. I have 7 successes. And no panic.
He's in his element when he's...
That is very much a success. What happens?
As this thing is lurching through the door and clearly focuses in to attack me, as I'm sort of scrambling to my feet to get away from it, I just literally push Benny in front of me and scramble away. So it ends up seeing him instead of me.
Benny, you're going to take 2 points of damage. This is armor piercing.
Okay, so I do have armor, but this ignores it.
It halves it.
So I get a single...
You guys roll it.
I will take 2 points of damage.
There's no auto kill effect. You simply take 2 damage. So we go to 4.
That is Benny.
Benny, you are locked in combat with a monster.
Benny, realizing that his pistol's not going to be very effective this close, is going to reach into his bag and grab his cutting torch, flicks it on, and is just going to freaking try to jam it into the face of this thing. I have 3 successes with the cutting torch to hit this thing. It is armor piercing and does 3 damage natively.
So what would you like to do with the extra successes?
I'm just going to do 6 damage to this thing.
You deal 6 damage to it.
Fucking die!
5.
In for penny, in for pound. As my action, I am going to just... It's going to burn through it, but it'll at least buy me a little bit of time, and I'm going to clamshell my briefcase over the genetic sample of the facehugger and then scramble out of the room.
3 of you are out. Who's 6? No one? 7. 8. 9. Garrett. The xenomorph leaps at you and roars a challenge, sweeping its arms, legs, and tail through their ranks. Okay, so normally it is actually an attack against everyone who is near. So everyone who has moved forward one is not going to be affected by this attack. But it moves it into the space, thrashing about, and everyone that is within that space, which is going to be, you, Garrett, I need you to make a mobility roll or be knocked off your feet, taking 1 point of damage.
I have 1 success, but I need to make a panic test.
That feels real.
A 4, I'm keeping it together. So I succeed on my mobility.
So you are just good. 10. The next xenomorph enters the room. I need you
Oh no!
to make an armor check.
We need to roll damage
And
first,
first
right?
I need to roll the attack roll.
Yeah. Good whiff.
Good whiff.
He could whiff.
It is dealing 3 damage to you.
This is close combat, right?
Yeah.
You can block. You have something to block with.
But I need an action to block, don't I?
You can borrow it from your next turn.
Oh, shit.
It's a fast action you're borrowing from your next turn.
If you don't soak this, you're not getting a next turn.
Yeah, so I will take a fast action to block this.
Go for it.
I will push. I will use my second True Grit lets me push a second time. So with all that, I succeed with 1, so I'll reduce the attack by 1, I guess?
Yep.
Yes. So now you're going to roll your armor against 2 damage.
Is it armor piercing?
No.
So all I need is casual boxcars.
Casual boxcars.
A 5 and a 6.
So close.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, baby.
A single point of damage makes it through as its deadly inner jaws gnash out and plunge into your face. When this happens, you will automatically be inflicted the critical injury number 64, killing you instantly. And in the room behind the 3 remaining survivors, you can hear your rival, ally, friend, perhaps the only person that can repair the ship. You hear the sounds of their struggling stop.
Was it apparent to us that he was sabotaged, or was that hidden by our rushing out?
If you're not in the room, you did not see it.
From the outside, I will shut the door behind us when the struggling stops.
The 3 of you make it away, for now. Either you've moved away and lost them, or they're stalking you. Which one isn't so clear. So it is the 3 of you in the quiet, with your plan having just been torn asunder.
Hendrika looks through her gear, patting herself down and yanking out 2 syringes. She injects one into herself, letting the nap relief take away some of the stress here. And she shoves the other one in Evans's direction. And then when he goes to reach for it, does it go to reach for it?
He looks lost in thought. It takes him a second to realize that you've pushed something until there's like a needle right in his periphery. And he sort of like turns questioning and then goes, oh, yeah, and then goes to reach for it.
And she yanks it back and she goes, "Do you not have any fucking money?"
I spent every dime I had to get us all out here. Because the payday for getting this off would have been huge. 10 times what any of us could have imagined. But now, and he like wiggles the fucking briefcase, selling this to a competitor, we're looking at like 100 times the payday.
We're not getting off of here. You're not getting off of here.
I have a plan.
What is the plan?
I have a plan. Okay?
Pitch the plan right now.
The doctor, the synthetic, has to follow his initial programming, and he's not going to lie. He is allowed to negotiate for the company, which means he can allow for one biological organism to get off. 1 human. Nemo, you can get off. He'll let you off. Your company property, it'll be fine. He would allow for 1 of the 2 of us to get off. Which means he has a way off the ship in the next 27 minutes. I look at my watch.
Or
Because he can't lie about that. He is offering in good faith. It was just that it was only going to be 1 of us. Which means there's another way off the ship. Just because the guy who could fix the ship is dead doesn't mean we can't get out of here.
or he plans to go down with it.
I'm sure that he does, but he has a way to at least get signals and escape pods. He mentioned that he was going to jettison an escape pod. There are cryo bays here, which means same plan works. We jettison an escape pod with us in cryo inside of it. I've got a transponder beacon. We will be picked up. It might be a few years, but we will get out of here. We will get an incredible payday, and we will survive, god damn it!
Yeah, but you keep on saying we. That's a one-person plan, ain't it?
I don't see why not, so long as the good doctor doesn't try and kill us. Escape pods aren't just for 1 person, and they brought multiple cryo people into here. At least 4, which means there's enough for 2, if not 3 of us. If you don't want to be awake the entire time, although I would feel better if you were. There's plenty of room in an escape pod for at least 3 of us, and there are 2 at least cryo bays. We can survive. And we know that they're not broken because the good doctor told us he opened them himself.
Would you like me to ascertain their location?
That would be perfect. Solutions-oriented.
Resentfully, Hendrika pushes the other syringe towards your chest so that you can calm the fuck down.
He takes it and injects it with practiced ease directly into his neck.
Is there a console nearby?
Yes, there is.
Nemo will go over and she will start looking for other ways off the ship.
Okay, sounds good.
She will also, just before she does, come over and rub her temples, and her eyes seem to flare a little bit, as her eyes are her signature item, and she seems to be thinking very deeply on something as she starts to boot up. I'm obligated to ensure a memory backup happens when there's a death that I witness.
Yeah, back up to your system or to some connected system?
My own.
That's the most human thing you've said, because I'm never going to forget seeing that.
I've always wondered why humans are so frightened of death.
Yeah, well, we can die.
But why does it frighten you?
Not the time for philosophical fucking questions.
I agree with the Marine.
Don't fucking call me that.
I agree with the hired muscle.
That works.
Again, fascinating behavior. And she will start. Do you want me to roll the comtech?
Yep.
1 success.
You know that on deck H, there is a starboard emergency cryosleep. It houses 12 maximum security cryotubes.
Looks like you are correct, Mr. Evans. Down on deck H, there is, in fact, a shuttle with 12 maximum security cryopods aboard.
The maximum security doesn't even faze him. He just looks and goes, great, we have a goal. And he looks at his watch, 25 minutes to get there.
And survive the journey.
Let's get it moving. Let's go quiet. Let's go quick.
Perfect.
Give me rolls for sneaking around.
That is a mobility roll, right?
It sure is.
I have a mobility pool of 6 with 1 success.
2 successes.
1 success.
What did each of you get?
1.
1.
2.
Are you guys taking the chute?
That's the only way to get down to H, right? As far as we're
So when
aware.
you know if, yeah. The group of you sneak your way down the chute. Every now and again, there's the sudden clang of debris crashing into a wall. And you never quite have a clear view of the full kilometer length of this place. But you make it to H. And when you do, you open the door. Thankfully, the doors are working. Because you don't have the cutter needed in order to open it otherwise. But when the door opens, you see this stretched, slimy, black, viscous material that is caked all along the walls and the ceiling. And you see them. You see the people that lived in this station. Most of their faces frozen in an expression of fear. Some looking blissfully asleep. But for all of them, Their chest cavity is ripped open and hollowed out. They're kept here like the prey of insects used to feed larvae. And it's okay. About a 15-minute walk down that path are the pods you were talking about, Nemo. Everyone gain a stress die.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're cutting it real close.
That way, Nemo says, and gestures through the gauntlet of trophy corpses.
What the fuck? But walks to follow after Nemo.
Kotze goes on the prowl, just trying to dedicate herself to the objective of surviving.
Roll me mobility checks and observation.
Yeah.
Which one first? Does it matter?
Whichever you like.
Do the observation first. No successes, and I panic.
Roll a d6 for your panic check.
2 total. So I'm keeping it together, which means I fail my observation. I am looking on in horror, but now it's time for mobility. 2 successes on mobility.
Observation was 5 successes.
Okay.
I do not have skill in observation, so I am rolling my 3 wits. No successes on observation. You said agility and mobility? 1 success.
And that is 1 success on the mobility.
You don't know whether or not you were avoiding notice. However, Nemo, at about the 10-minute mark, you know the group of you are being followed. And it is uncomfortable because these things blend perfectly into this eerie black mucousy substance that is caked all along the walls and ceiling. There are tunnels that have been cut, burned with acid, what have you. This is a dense, thick hive.
Nemo, once she realizes that they're being followed, is careful to not break her stride, but she does turn her head back over her shoulder just a little bit, still keeping an eye forward. There's company behind us.
You think you know which way it's coming from? You go and you kind of lift this grate overhead to check the ventilation shafts that are above you, between this deck and the next. And when you poke your head up, you can see, crawling in your direction, multiple things moving in the darkness, headed towards the group of you. You might make it to the pods if you run.
On my count, we run. 3, 2, 1, go.
Evans is running on 1.
I think, unfortunately, if Evan runs on 1, then what happens
1 or
is...
3?
Oh, sorry, 1 or 3.
On 3, he starts running.
Yes, so unfortunately, if Evan starts running on 3, betraying the plan, I am going to shoot him and to try to use him as a lure for us to get away.
Okay, initiative cards.
You realize that means you NPC out, right?
I do realize that.
Okay.
I realize I'm choosing the villain route, but if he's running ahead of us, I've been wronged enough.
All right, cards. 1.
Seeing Evans run and believing him to intend to leave the 2 of them behind for alien chow, Kotze decides to turn the tables and shoot him down as bait, turning to the dark side and NPCing out if I am successful.
Take a shot.
I have no idea what her intention is until it's too late to stop.
No, sorry. What are you doing? Are you running? Are you staying? It is your turn.
The plan is to run. So I'm going to run, and I'm going to maybe push him out of the way if I can, but the plan is to run, guys.
I'm probably going to push you in the way.
All right, you start running. Rebecca, go for it.
I have 2 successes.
Okay, you've got 2 successes. Are you spending one of those to knock him down?
Yes, I would like to spend one of those to effectively shoot him in the knee and hobble him.
What is the base damage of your weapon?
The base damage of the pulse rifle is 2.
You fall to a knee.
Hendrika will call out, Nemo, that fucker's trying to abandon us to keep going.
The fuck is the matter with you? Or is this how your team survived?
Lex, I would like to note that I will continue to dedicate actions to shooting him.
Are you staying behind to
No, 'cause
punk him for the shit he just said to you?
No,
You won't get paid if you stay for vengeance.
None of you are getting paid without me.
There's this evil fucking rogue grin that spreads across her face, as if she's looking into your soul and seeing her own reflection, and it's something ugly. And she stoops down and grabs the handle of that briefcase and goes to keep on running.
The two of you run, and behind you, you can hear the sounds of those things that were in the rafters above coming down. And Evans, landing and looming around you. There's a small gathering of them, 4. But they don't attack you. They just stare, and one of them slowly starts to reach down.
Evans, looking at all the hollow chest cavities, remembering the biosamples that were kept inside people in cryo that he came here for initially, reaches for the gun that he had hidden in his briefcase, and then realizes at the last second that he doesn't even have his briefcase. And then he just screams, "No, no, no, no!"
And it takes him by the ankle, and rather than mauling him like they had done previously, they drag him off into the dark.
He is screaming the entire time.
Nemo taps her temple again to commit this to her memory banks. As she and, she gets to the cryo pod.
Well, when
The
you
shuttle.
get there, it's the two of you. There's a person there, kind of dizzy and sweating and holding a pulse rifle. And one hand on a sling is this kind of like handsome, older Brazilian gentleman with light gray hair. And it looks like he's got these pods going and ready to launch. And he's wearing this like set of overalls and this like forest green tank top. And injured, scratched up, dirty and tired. He kind of looks at the two of you confused and says, who the hell are you?
Doesn't matter, move over.
We'll explain later.
He pats his chest. Joao,
Nemo.
get in.
Hendrika goes going.
Nemo will take the gun from him so he isn't encumbered by it.
He's got like a death grip on it, like is frightened, but like lets you
It's all right.
take it from him.
I'm synthetic. I can't use it to hurt you.
Shuttle. I've got the shuttle ready.
Oh, I know. In.
He moves the pods into the shuttle. Let's go. And he gets into the cockpit, and as he sits into the cockpit, he looks too tired to fucking pilot. So do either of you have the ability to pilot on your sheets?
Absolutely not.
Yes, I do. I crashed us here.
You can get him to not.
I will gently suggest he go and prep himself for cryo sleep.
Okay. He goes and does that. You get into the...
I will get into the pilot
You
seat.
get into the pilot seat, and the shuttle closes. Why don't you go ahead and give me a piloting roll? At this point, the station is lurching again, as whole sections of it are now starting to break away.
Nemo, you got this.
4 successes.
Okay, you punch it and start getting the fuck up out of there.
Am I able to stop by our original ship and grab Samson?
No.
Fuck. And Nemo will pilot the ship away as pedal to the metal.
The back area goes quiet, as it looks like they must have set up for cryo. And hours and hours and hours go by with you just kind of sitting and waiting.
She'll go back and check on the pods. I want to make sure the briefcase gets put in one in order to preserve the sample.
As you kind of pick up the briefcase and head over to one, you set it in, you close the cryopod, and then that's when you realize that the other 2 cryopods that should be active aren't, and only one of them is working. You can see that Kotze is in cryosleep, but the other pod never quite got activated. It would seem that this Joao fellow had passed out before he could hit the sequence. And what you see is that his chest has burst open, revealing an open cavity. From somewhere in the recesses of this ship, you hear something.
Path of Night is an actual play podcast. This bonus Halloween episode features Free League's Alien, the role-playing game. Vernon Deckard was played by Tim Davis. Benicio Benny Quaresma was played by Garrett Gabbey. Alexander Evans was played by Rob Muirhead. Hendrika Kotze was played by Rebecca Steigelfest. Mnemosyne 4, Nemo, was played by Erika Webb. Your game mother was Lex Lopez. Recording by Rebecca Steigelfest. This episode edited by Rob Muirhead. The music used in this episode was found on pixabay.com. You can find the songs in the show notes. Make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you can find your podcasts. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/@pathofnight. You can help support the show at coffee.com/pathofnight. You can find us on twitter.com@pathofnightpod, on Facebook at Path of Night Podcast, or email us at pathofnightpodcast@gmail.com. That's it. Game over, man. Game over.